6 o'clock in the morning, April 11th, 1912. Dawn breaks over the Irish Sea. The sky lightens from black to deep blue to pale gold. The water catches the morning light and glitters. Titanic steams northwest toward Ireland. Behind her, the overnight crossing from Cherbourg, smooth, uneventful, exactly as planned. 310 nautical miles covered while most passengers slept. Just the steady rhythm of a ship doing what she was designed to do. Ahead, Queenstown, the final European port before New York. The last stop, the last chance to board, to disembark, to turn back. This is where the Irish emigrants will join, 123 of them carrying everything they own, leaving everything they know. Seeking in America what Ireland cannot give them, opportunity, prosperity, hope. And this is where Father Francis Browne will disembark. The Jesuit priest who has spent 2 days aboard photographing everything, who will receive a telegram from his provincial superior telling him to get off. He will obey, he will survive. His photographs will become some of the most valuable records we have of Titanic before the disaster. I'm Keith Conrad, and this is Sidequests. In this episode, Queenstown, the Irish emigrants, Father Browne's photographs and the telegram that saved his life, and the final departure, turning west into the Atlantic, severing the last link to Europe. 9 o'clock. The Irish coast is clearly visible, not just a dark line, but detailed, specific. The old head of Kinsale, a distinctive headland marking the approach to Cork Harbor, the lighthouse standing watch, passengers gather on deck to watch. For some, this is home. Ireland, the country they're leaving possibly forever. They stand at the railings, silent or quietly talking, watching green hills roll down to gray cliffs. Ireland in 1912 is still recovering from the Great Famine. 67 years have passed since the potato blight struck, since 1 million people died of starvation, since another 1 million fled in coffin ships across the Atlantic. Before the famine, Ireland's population was 8.5 million. By 1912, 4.4 million, half the population gone, dead or emigrated. And the emigration continues. Thousands leave every year, young people mostly. They leave for America, for Canada, for Australia, anywhere offering the opportunities Ireland denies them. Queenstown is a major emigration port. The dock there is called Heartbreak Pier, where families say goodbye, often forever, where mothers embrace sons they'll never see again, where young women leave for domestic service in New York or Boston, carrying everything they own in a single trunk.
The coast of Ireland looked very beautiful as we approached Queenstown Harbour, the brilliant morning sun showing up the green hillsides and picking out groups of dwellings dotted here and there above the rugged grey cliffs that fringed the coast.
11:30, Titanic approaches Cork Harbor, but the harbor is too shallow. The ship's draft is 34 feet. The harbor averages 30 feet. So Titanic does what Olympic has been doing. She anchors in deeper water outside the breakwater and waits for tenders to bring passengers out. Titanic settles at anchor, steady, waiting. 2 tenders approach, Ireland and America. The names are almost too perfect. Ireland sending her children to America. On the tenders, 120 passengers experience a mix of excitement and anxiety. Behind them on the quay, families are watching, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters. White handkerchiefs flutter the traditional farewell. Wave goodbye. Keep waving until you can't see them anymore. Some represent collective hope. Entire villages contributed to the passage, collected money, pooled resources, sent one young person to America with everyone's hopes. The expectations succeed, send money back, sponsor others to follow. Others are making individual departures, escaping poverty or family expectations, or the limits of rural Irish life. All of them know they may never return. Among them, Katie Gilna, 16, from County Longford, emigrating alone, a domestic servant heading to New York. Everything she owns in a small trunk. Her entire future written on a paper with an address. Eugene Daly, 29, from County Westmeath, carrying Irish bagpipes, Leon pipes, a musician hoping to play in New York's Irish communities. Jeremiah Burke, 19, from County Cork, carrying a small whiskey bottle. In 3 days, as Titanic sinks, he'll scribble a message, seal it in the bottle, throw it into the Atlantic before he dies. The bottle will wash ashore in County Cork a year later. From Titanic, goodbye all Burke of Glanmire, Cork. But today it's just a keepsake from home. Most are from rural Ireland. Counties Cork, Mayo, Galway, Limerick. Agricultural backgrounds, people whose futures in Ireland are limited by class and circumstance. New York, Boston, Chicago, these are the destinations. Some have relatives already established. Addresses written on papers, clutched tightly. Others have just dreams. Immigrant aid societies, Catholic charities, all of them carrying everything they own. Small trunks if fortunate, bundles tied with rope if not. They speak Irish, Gaelic among themselves, but to the crew, broken English. Halting, heavily accented, some barely speak English at all, but they're directed to third-class accommodations down the stairs to F and G decks. Small cabins with 4 to 6 berths, not open dormitories. Actual cabins, doors that close. The relief is visible. This is clean. Better than they'd feared. By 1 o'clock, all passengers are aboard, 123 Irish emigrants joining the international community already established. And in 72 hours, most of them will be dead. Among the 7 passengers disembarking at Queenstown was a 32-year-old Jesuit priest named Francis Browne. He carried a camera, and in 2 days aboard Titanic, he had created the most comprehensive photographic record of the ship's interior that would ever exist. Francis Browne boarded at Southampton on April 10th. First class, the ticket was a gift from his uncle, Bishop of Cloyne. A brief journey, an experience, and for 2 days, Browne photographed everything. Captain Smith on the bridge, passengers on deck, the gymnasium, T.W. Macaulay demonstrating equipment, children eager to try the electric horses, the boat deck, lifeboats in their davits, the 4 funnels rising against the sky. He photographed ship's interiors, cabins, public rooms, the wireless operators, Jack Phillips and Harold Bride at their instruments. They look young, focused. In 4 days, they'll be heroes. He photographed stewards at work, children playing, families relaxing, the ship as a living, breathing community. During Southampton departure, he photographed the near collision with SS New York, one of the only photographic records of that incident. 42 photographs total, glass plate negatives, carefully exposed, carefully packed. And here's what makes them extraordinary. There was no professional photographer aboard Titanic. White Star typically hired photographers to document new ships, but for some reason, oversight, economy, they didn't arrange one for Titanic, so Father Browne's amateur work became the only extensive visual documentation. Everything we know about Titanic's interior comes primarily from his photographs. On Wednesday evening, Browne had sent a telegram to his Jesuit provincial, his religious superior. A wealthy passenger had offered to pay Browne's passage to New York. Could he accept? Might he continue to America rather than disembarking at Queenstown? It was an extraordinary offer, the complete journey, the Atlantic crossing, New York. But he was a Jesuit. Jesuits take vows seriously. Poverty, chastity, and obedience. He would abide by whatever answer came. The response telegram was short. Get off that ship, provincial. 7 words, no explanation. No apology, just an order. Father Browne was disappointed, of course, but he was obedient. He packed his belongings, gathered his camera and glass plates, bid farewell to passengers he'd befriended. He would disembark at Queenstown as originally planned. 7 words saved his life. If the provincial had said yes, if Browne had continued to New York, if obedience hadn't been so deeply ingrained, he would have died. Like 1,500 others, like the wealthy passenger who offered to pay his way, like Captain Smith, whom he'd photographed on the bridge. Instead, he lived, and the photographs lived with him. The telegram preserved not just his life, but the historical record. Without Father Browne's photographs, our visual memory of Titanic's interior would be vastly diminished. Captain Smith on the bridge, Browne's photograph, the gymnasium, the boat deck, passengers relaxing, Browne's work, all of it. 7 words saved all of that. 1:30 in the afternoon, boarding is complete, 7 passengers disembark. Father Browne among them, carrying his photographic treasure. The tender pulls away. Browne watches Titanic from the harbor. Even from distance, she's enormous. 4 funnels, white superstructure gleaming magnificent. Browne raises his camera one final time, photographs the ship at anchor in Queenstown, the last images, and then the tender turns toward shore, toward Ireland and safety and 48 more years of life.
All afternoon we steamed along the coast of Ireland with grey cliffs guarding the shores and hills rising behind gaunt and barren. As dusk fell, the coast rounded away from us to the northwest, and the last we saw of Europe was the Irish mountains, dim and faint in the dropping darkness. With the thought that we had seen the last of land until we set foot on the shores of America, I retired to the library to write letters, little knowing that many things would happen to us all. Many experiences, sudden, vivid and impressive to be encountered. Many perils to be faced, many good and true people for whom we should have to mourn before we saw land again.
1:30, Captain Smith gives the order, raise anchors. Chains clank through the hawse pipes. Sound echoes across the harbor, across the town, across the hills beyond. Titanic is leaving. The engines engage, the ship begins to move, pivoting, turning westward, heading toward the Atlantic. Course plotted, the outward southern track for April. 1,385 nautical miles. Expected crossing time 5 days. Expected arrival Wednesday morning, April 17th. The Irish coast is visible to starboard. Green hills rolling down to gray cliffs. The landscape Irish emigrants are leaving behind, perhaps forever. Passengers line the rails, watching Europe disappear. The Irish emigrants especially. This is their last sight of home. The green fields, the stone walls, the hills they have known all their lives. Some are weeping, grief for what they're leaving. Others are excited, adventure ahead, America waiting. Children wave at the coast, not understanding the finality. For them, this is adventure. Their parents know better. They know they'll probably never return. That Ireland is receding not just in distance, but in possibility. The old head of Queenstown passes to starboard, the last major landmark. Beyond it, there's nothing but Atlantic, 3,000 miles of ocean, 5 days of crossing. By 4 o'clock, the last trace of land disappears below the horizon. The ship turns west, heading into the open Atlantic, nothing ahead but ocean. 360 degrees of water and sky. Nothing behind but memory, Europe, home, the past. Nothing ahead but uncertainty, America, the future, fate. None of them know what's waiting. Right now, April 11th, 1912 at 4 o'clock. There is only the peaceful crossing, the finest ship ever built. The unsinkable ship, sailing toward its destiny, Titanic. 2,200 people aboard, 1,316 passengers, 885 crew, all heading west, all believing in the ship beneath them, all trusting in modern technology, in British engineering, in human ingenuity over nature. The last link to Europe has been severed. Queenstown is behind them. Ireland has disappeared. There is no land in any direction, only ocean, only the ship, only the voyage, 5 days to New York, or 4 days to an iceberg. The ship doesn't know, the ocean doesn't care, and the people aboard sleep peacefully, eat their dinners, play their music, live their lives. Not knowing, not imagining, not suspecting that most of them have 3 days left to live. For premium subscribers, we go deeper. Queenstown itself, the town built on emigration and disaster. The Irish passengers in detail, the mail that was lost, Eugene Daly's pipes and the music of Third Class, and Queenstown's connection to both Titanic and Lusitania. Visit newssidequest.com to hear the full episode. Next time, the Atlantic crossing, Saturday, April 13th, Sunday, April 14th. Church services Sunday morning, ice warnings accumulating throughout the day. And then at 11:40 p.m., Frederick Fleet sees something in the darkness ahead.